Zuckerberg and Jobs have done for technology, those are things that are going to impact my daughter's life. You think about what Khan Academy is doing in education, what Opower and Cree are doing in energy. Even what entrepreneurs like Jim Senegal and Costco did for retail. These are all things that are going to change the world and already changed the world that my daughter lives in. So yes, she's rocking a Mark Zuckerberg hoodie, and I think it makes a lot of sense. Because across every sector, we're seeing creative destruction from entrepreneurs. And what Mital and the others asked me to do today is talk a little bit about the significance of what's going on in terms of entrepreneurship, both in the country and also in North Carolina. So let me tell you a little bit about this. It wasn't too long ago that innovation was something done in a company laboratory. Right? It wasn't about entrepreneurs and innovators. The word entrepreneur didn't even come into the American vernacular in a big way until recently. But now that's all really changed. Our federal, our state, our local governments, they're falling over themselves trying to figure out ways to promote entrepreneurship. Our colleges and our universities are designing entire curriculums around entrepreneurship. We have incubators, mentorship programs, angel networks, all proliferating. And this is in part because of efforts like Startup North Carolina. I was part of the team that launched Startup America in the Obama White House. One of the reasons we did that, and it was one of the most important things I think we did in Washington, is we all understood very viscerally the importance of entrepreneurship and innovation to economic growth and job creation. And it's not just one party or the other, both sides get that. Right? When President Obama signed the Jump-Starting Our Business Startups Act, Eric Cantor, who disagrees with the president on a lot of issues, stood right behind him. There's bipartisan consensus that entrepreneurship matters and we need to find ways to encourage it. That's the good news. On the other hand, I don't think we can rest on our laurels. A lot of other countries are catching up, and we shouldn't take it for granted. Even before the late 1990s, before Silicon Valley, before the social media craze, the Web 2.0, recent memory, when people thought about entrepreneurship, they thought about America. It's the reason a lot of our parents, I know mine, and grandparents came to this country is for entrepreneurship. And ever since our founding, even further back, we've had this entrepreneurial ethos, this sort of young upstart nation. It's easy to forget how young the nation is and how we started. And it's also easy to forget that we're really a nation of pioneers, right? Not just moving westward, but upward. And we're sort of guardians of this place where anything is possible. That's what entrepreneurship is about. So when I think about the American dream today, I think about the entrepreneurs. I think about the people coming here from other countries to start business, and the people who are here who are starting businesses. But I also know, as I travel around the world, that other nations are catching up. It's not just the BRIC countries, Brazil, Russia, India, and China, who are growing their economies. Israel and Chile are building national brands around entrepreneurship. And that confluence, that secret sauce that we had in this country, robust capital markets, an open system where immigration was welcome, intellectual property law that made sense, and a culture where failure, the first time, was something that was accepted. The wonderful thing about America, when I talk to my students, is that when people fail in American entrepreneurship, we don't call them failures. We call them serial entrepreneurs. Right? And in no other country around the world was that true for such a long time. But now other countries are catching up and they're getting it. And a lot of the low-hanging fruit the United States had over the past 2 centuries is starting to come to fruition for other countries. So we need to think about ways to reinvent ourselves and ways to change not just the country, but the trajectory where we're going around the world. Now, a lot of this has to do, I think, with unleashing untapped potential right here in North Carolina. Because when you think about reinventing the secret sauce in America, you have to think about all the untapped potential we have across this country. Right now, 3 states account for 75% of the venture capital. Right? California, Massachusetts, and New York take 3/4 of the venture capital in this country. We know that there's more talented people and ideas in places other than just those 3 states. Why isn't the capital getting to them? As we know, venture capital is only part of the story. Most entrepreneurs will never raise VC. They're maxing out their credit cards, finding other ways to get a small business loan. Those sources of capital all have to be available to people with good ideas. And part of that's already happening in North Carolina. We need to build on it. So my proposition, where I think about Startup North Carolina as being in, is let's take this untapped potential in the RTP in Charlotte, where I know people are getting together today. And let's harness that. Let's bring that together and create an entrepreneurial ecosystem in this state. That's one of the ways we're going to reinvigorate the U.S. economy and get our entrepreneurial mojo back. North Carolina already has a lot of advantages. We have an educated populace. We have great research universities. We have a great community and great standard of living. We have a great business climate already with a great industrial base. What I think we've been lacking a little bit up to this point is the connective tissue. And my friends in medicine will understand a little bit what we mean. The ability to link great ideas that are sometimes locked behind ivory towers to the enterprising individual on the outside. We need the connective tissue to make sure those two match. The environment that just doesn't support big business, but creates an ecosystem where startups can also thrive and compete. And finally, an environment that doesn't just make the headlines of the business magazines as best places to live, best places to work, best place to select your site, but a real honest-to-goodness buzz that this is the place to be. That's the kind of connective tissue we need to make North Carolina into an entrepreneurial hotspot, to make the dreams that Brooks is talking about come true. I think Startup North Carolina is going to be part of that. You know, even some of the supposed disadvantages of our region that people talk about, we have a lot of big companies and fewer small companies, I don't see that as a disadvantage at all. I do research on entrepreneurship at Univeristy. I've been teaching entrepreneurship for about 5 or 6 years. Most entrepreneurs are not they're not college dropouts working in their parents' garage. Most entrepreneurs are about 40 years old with significant industry experience, strong social networks, and a lot of market knowledge. Where do those entrepreneurs come from? Big companies, right? That's where they cut their teeth. So we got a lot of big companies. Let's not see them as impediments to entrepreneurship. Let's start seeing them as incubators for the next generation of entrepreneurial talent. That's what we have in this region in spades, and we shouldn't forget it. So when you hear people knocking North Carolina for what things we have, a lot of our disadvantages are actually advantages. And I think that's what we're going to realize with Startup North Carolina. You know, in terms of the timing, Nicole asked me to say about why now. So I think you get why North Carolina, why Startup North Carolina, why now? When you look around the world, you see a lot of economic uncertainty. You see governments in gridlock. You look at polls of the American people, and they are cynical and distrusting of every major institution in this country except for one. Does anyone know what the one is that they still trust? Small business, entrepreneurs. And why do they trust your guys' approach to problem solving? Why do they think that you're the ones to solve the nation's pressing problems? It's something about individual initiative, the ability to cut through the BS that Brooks is talking about, the ability to ask for forgiveness, not for permission, I think it's called, the ability to challenge the status quo and imagine a world the way it should be, not the way it is. People put their stock into you, they trust you because they think you're going to solve these big problems. And I think it's folks in this room, there's folks in Charlotte who are going to do that here in North Carolina and make this a thriving ecosystem. So that's one of the reasons we need to do it now, right? The world is definitely in a situation where they're looking for knights in shining armor, and you guys aren't wearing armor, right? But I think a lot of you are going to be that answer for folks around the world. I also want to tell you a little bit about some of the things that we're doing in the community, and one in particular. So I have a class coming up I'm going to teach. It's very different than any other class I've done before. It's not at Duke teaching my MBA students. It's not teaching the undergrad students. I'm going to be teaching down at Hillside High School in Durham, North Carolina. How many people know where Hillside is? People know? Okay, great. So I'm teaching a year-long entrepreneurship class there with the help of my friends at communities and schools in Durham. And frankly, I've been a little bit nervous. I don't know how many of you get nervous speaking in front of crowds. I do a lot of speaking for my job already, but I don't do a lot of speaking in front of high school students. I don't have a lot of experience trying to keep them engaged. A lot of these kids have experiences and backgrounds that I can't relate to, going through things that I've never gone through. So how am I going to get them excited about entrepreneurship that first day? That's my question. How am I going to go in there and tell them why they should care, why they should come back the second day, why they should do the homework, why they can think entrepreneurship is for them? Because as many entrepreneurs as we have here in North Carolina, as many as we have around the world, there's too many people on the bench. We need to get more people into the entrepreneurial game. I want these kids, starting small, 25 juniors and seniors at Hillside, to get into the game. And so I've been thinking a lot about how to inspire them and get them started. And I think the first thing I'm going to do when I get there is just write a simple phrase on the board. Entrepreneurship is how we change the world. Let's go do it. And that's what Startup North Carolina is about. That's what Startup American Partnership is about. And I've just been glad to be here to help you guys launch it. I want to wish everyone good luck, and I'd love to chat with you guys afterwards and look forward to the formal program. Thank you.